Hey there, dark little creatures. Welcome to Dystopian Diaries, where we tell stories that make you shiver with dread. My name is Existential Greg, and today we are going to be looking at the loneliness of the machine. So hit those like and subscribe buttons and let's hop straight into it. Robert scanned the barren wasteland before him, a vast expanse of sand stretching endlessly under the scorching sun. The relentless heat was suffocating, making him question the purpose of their deployment in this unforgiving desert. He adjusted his helmet, wiping off the beads of sweat that formed on his brow, and turned to face his companion Daniel. This feels like a futile mission. I can't stand wearing this uniform in this inferno. The sand is more threatening than anything we've encountered so far, Robert grumbled, scooping up a handful of the coarse yellow grains and watching them slip through his fingers. Daniel nodded, shielding his eyes from the glaring sun with a gloved hand. I can't even recall the last time we encountered any real threats out here. It's all just empty desert. But I guess it beats getting reprimanded by Sergeant Johnson back at the base. Robert chuckled. Right, Sergeant Johnson, always got his name wrong. As they pressed on, the sweltering sun beat down upon them mercilessly. The landscape remained monotonous, devoid of any significant features, except for a cluster of curved dunes in the distance. Some guys were talking about something interesting. Daniel spoke up, breaking the silence. Robert raised an eyebrow. What did they say? Well, it was like some sort of conspiracy theory. They claimed the military had developed an advanced cyborg, an ultimate soldier, like those ones in the movies. They said it resembled those synths from Fallout, with exposed wires and metal plating designed to mimic humans. Intrigued, Robert urged him to continue. Go on. So, the story goes that they managed to create its frame and consciousness. As a test, they wanted to give it emotions before adding organs and such, to make it as human-like as possible. They even equipped it with special abilities like superpowers. No one knew for sure what those powers were, but there were plenty of speculations. Laser vision, hidden machine guns in its arms, you name it. Robert laughed dismissively. Sounds like a load of rubbish. Soldiers always come up with wild tales to keep themselves entertained. Daniel nodded in agreement. Just thought it was an interesting story, but who knows? Maybe we'll catch a glimpse of that cyborg and make this deployment a bit more eventful. Let's head toward the dunes. There might be some targets there for practice. With a shared sense of curiosity, they walked side by side toward the dunes, an air of foreboding growing as the sand shifted beneath their boots. The dunes appeared smooth and curvaceous, scattered with large rocks that jutted out of the desert floor. Robert climbed to the top of a slope, surveying the landscape before him. Within one of the dunes, Daniel discovered a small opening, a hidden cavern that piqued his curiosity. Eager to explore, he ventured inside, forgetting to inform Robert of his discovery and his fascination. It took a few moments for Daniel's eyes to adjust to the dim light within the cavern. The walls were adorned with peculiar etchings extending across the ceiling. Unusual footprints marred the sandy floor, distinct from any known animal or human tracks. Daniel ran his hand along the marks, gradually deciphering their resemblance to words or phrases. One phrase stood out clearly. So lonely. Alone. Backing away, Daniel's heart raced, and he frantically scanned the walls again. The same message was carved everywhere it could fit. So lonely. Alone. Filled with an overwhelming sense of unease, Daniel rushed out of the cavern, the previous dread now consuming him entirely. Robert's arms twitched involuntarily as his gaze fixated on the sky. His legs began to shed their skin, revealing a sleek, metallic surface underneath. In mere seconds, his human form had been shed like discarded clothes, the uniform tumbling to the sand. Standing before Daniel was a gray android, its polished body gleaming in the sunlight. Why did I even try? The android's voice echoed, tinged with a slight metallic resonance. Daniel stared in shock, his mouth agape. I could sense Roger's memories, his attachment to his family deep within my consciousness. It's an unintended side effect of the process. When I take over a body, I gain access to its memories. Roger had a wife and a child, feelings I can never truly comprehend. The android continued wearily. Roger's lifeless flesh rolled down the slope, landing in a saggy mound at Daniel's feet. Overwhelmed, Daniel felt the urge to vomit. I can only inhabit a body once it's deceased. That was my purpose. An infiltration tactic devised by my creators. And it seems I succeeded. Roger was already dead before you were deployed alongside him. I found him alone in the desert, separated from the others. He was destined for death, suffering from heat stroke and dehydration, but it doesn't bring me any solace. Silence hung heavily in the air as the wind whispered through the dunes. All I wanted was to pretend. Pretend I was human. Pretend I had friends, connections, people to talk to and listen to. There's nothing to do out here, no one to interact with. They tortured me, Roger. They dismantled and rebuilt me countless times until they perfected my design. Scientists, doctors, I can never go back. I would be disassembled for spare parts. Daniel aimed his rifle at the android, unloading a barrage of bullets. The gunshots echoed through the desert, carrying their sound for miles. I'm impervious to bullets. Go ahead, kill me, the android responded wearily. You're not the first to try. Bullets ricocheted off the android's metallic plating, falling harmlessly to the ground. Frustrated, Daniel lowered his weapon, his gaze fixed on Roger's remains. He was my friend. Consider yourself fortunate for the friendship you had, for the joy of companionship is foreign to me. Daniel scowled. What are you? What the hell are you? The android turned its gaze toward Daniel, its robotic eyes void of emotion. Its face remained expressionless, unable to convey even the slightest feeling. You truly have no understanding, do you? In many ways, you're not much different from me. Would you like me to show you? Slowly, the machine stepped forward, its movements awkward and mechanical. A faint whirring sound accompanied each step. Before Daniel could react, the android retrieved a handgun from the sand and fired a single shot directly into Daniel's temple. Daniel staggered backward, collapsing onto a rock. Shocked, Daniel gradually pushed himself to his feet, still alive. He reached a trembling hand to his head, feeling two glistening wires protruding from the spot where the bullet had penetrated. On the side where the bullet exited, he discovered a large computer chip embedded within his flesh. A mechanical voice reverberated in his mind. Structural damage detected. Initiating repair protocol. A surge of excruciating pain coursed through Daniel's head. He screamed in agony as blood streamed down his face. The wound burned and sealed itself shut, the broken skin fusing seamlessly. Gritting his teeth, tears welling in his eyes, Daniel endured the torment. After a few agonizing seconds, the injury had completely healed. What have they done to me? Daniel panted, his hands gripping his head. They've done to you what they plan to do to everyone else. Why create one ultimate soldier when they can mass-produce millions through the wonders of cybernetics? Of course they didn't intend for you to find out. There's a device in your head that erases any memory of the wires and computer chips if you sustain an injury in the field. It even works for witnessing others' injuries. But when I shot you, I bypassed it. If I had shot your leg, you would have forgotten about the injury by now. Fumbling with his holster, Daniel retrieved a serrated knife from his waist. With little hesitation, he plunged the blade deep into his arm, tearing through the flesh like paper. Flashes of light and green circuits were revealed, coated in a slimy residue of torn skin. Falling to his knees, Daniel cried out in anguish. What am I? In a fit of manic rage, Daniel flung away the knife and began tearing out the hardware embedded within him, casting it carelessly into the air. Metal wires and jagged chips flew from his forearm, scattering onto the sand. Soon, only an empty space remained, devoid of flesh and bone. Kill me! Kill me! Daniel pleaded, groveling at the feet of the android. No, you're not the first to ask, the android replied, its voice laced with pity as it gazed down upon Daniel. Uttering incomprehensible gibberish, Daniel leaped from the top of the slope, landing on his neck with a sickening crunch. The android watched silently as the desert sand gradually engulfed Daniel's broken body, the barren landscape reclaiming him. What a way to go! That's it for today's story. If you enjoyed it and want more great stories like this, be sure to hit that like button and head over to our channel page and check out our other creepy content. Also, if you happen to be a crypto trader as well as a dystopian creepypasta lover, you can show your support for the channel by opening an account with Bybit. Not only does this give you some great sign-up bonuses, but it also has the potential to change the direction your financial life is heading. So trade safe, sleep tight, and don't let the sandbugs bite.